They have 35 senior researchers currently working on the translation. It has been very popular, more than we expected. There's been more than 1,000 downloads of the complete document since its release in late March of this year. We've had numerous very positive comments. I've just put two of them here. One from Daniel Massa from Italy, another from Alan Bengal. They're both very positive comments, and these are not comments from just anybody, these are comments from fertigation experts. So for me, it's like Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo saying, you've played a good game of football. This is, for me, really good feedback. This diagram we prepared to present all the different components of the Fertigation Bible. Starting from number 1, on the left-hand side, which is the water, provision of water. And then we go to section 2, which you can see mostly here, which is the optimization of the water quality. There were subsections on the chemical composition of the water, particle removal, control of algae, and disinfection of water. Part 3 was on fertigation equipment. This is really the equipment in the head and also the systems for applying irrigation, etc. There were 3 subsections: irrigation, nutrient addition, and soil systems. When we come to the field, we had 2 subsections on fertigation management, one for irrigation and one for nutrients. Salinity was included with nutrients. And finally, we have a section on reducing environmental impact, which is on the recovery, removal, and recovery of nutrients from drainage water before it is released into the environment. Okay, this is the basic organization. To begin with, there's some introductory information, executive summary, etc. There's an introductory chapter, putting things in context. And then we have from chapters 2 to 12, we have the chapters which are descriptions of technologies. Now, we can group these into basically 5. There's the provision of water, and then we have 3 that deal with optimizing water quality. On chemical composition, particle removal, control of algae, disinfection. Then in red, we have 3 that deal with fertigation equipment: irrigation, nutrient addition, soil systems. In green, we can see the green square, rectangle, we can see the 2 chapters dealing with fertigation management: irrigation and nutrients and salinity, and finally, reducing environmental impact. Each of those chapters describing, or the technology chapters, has the same general structure. Initially, there's an introduction, and then there's a summary table. The summary table includes all of the technologies that are in that particular chapter. And in this summary table, there's an overview of the technologies that are described in the chapter, and also a simplified comparison between the technologies. And then for each technology, there's a technology description. In some chapters, we have as many as 25. I think Carlos was responsible for a chapter on irrigation, and I think there was 25 or more technologies. In each of these technical descriptions, which pertain to each of the technologies are described in terms of the purpose and the aim of the technology, the regions, etc., where the technology is used, what is the working principle, without going into a lot of detail, what it does, what's the process involved, operational conditions, which can be very important for temperature effects, etc., information on cost, obviously very important, what are the benefits for the growers, what can they achieve with this technology, and also what are the disadvantages, what are the problems for a grower, the practical problems or implications. Also a section on bottlenecks and limitations from a technological point of view, from a socioeconomic point of view, and also from the regulatory point of view, because that can also be an important issue with new technologies. And then there's a description of the various technologies that have resulted, or the techniques, sorry, that have resulted from this technology, any supporting systems required, for example, computers, etc., etc. And then the stage of development, is it commercially available? Is it in the research and development stage? If so, exactly at what stage? And if it is commercially available, who provides the technology? Okay, now I'm going to endeavour to give a guided tour with a PDF version. I need to control. Oops. It's like a rock concert. Okay, where's the file? The PDF?
You have to see
Okay.
Tell me what you want.
Well, it's a bit difficult. Okay. Well, if we can just go to page 3. So if we can type page 3 in the page number. Okay. Well, this is the table of contents. Each of these is also a link. It's a hyperlink with the document. So if we go and we press on chapter 6, so chapter 6, that's optimizing water quality, that one. If we press there, well, we should go to chapter 6. It really works. It works very, very well. We've had some problems with here, which usually is how things work out. Okay, can we try a different chapter? Let's go back to the table of contents that we had before, which I thought was also on page 3. This all worked beautifully last night, I can assure you. But you changed the computer. Well, let's go to chapter 10 on irrigation. Go down to that one. Okay, just try there. Okay, it's working. All right, so here we can see the structure of an individual chapter. A list of figures, tables, introduction to the chapter, and then we have the table, the summary table, which is the summary of technologies, and then you can see the various technologies in that particular chapter. Now, if we can go down a little bit to 1019, wetting front detector. Let's just have a look at that to see an example of one of these 23 technologies. So 1019, if you just put the mouse on, just up a little bit. Okay, there. Okay, perfect. So we can see an example of one of the technology descriptions, okay? What it's used for, the regions, crops from which it's used, the purpose of the technology, the working principle. If we can go down a little bit more. We can see here then there's figures. We've tried to include as many figures as possible, so it's really self-explanatory. We can see an example here of the full stop detector, which is the only wetting front detector I know of. We can go down a little bit more. The operational conditions, where it can be used, going down a little bit further. And now there's information on interpreting the data. How to use it, which we can see if we go down a little bit further, more explanation, etc. We can go down a little bit further. Okay, so here again, there's more information here on interpreting the use of when there's two of these wetting front detectors. Okay, let's just go down a little bit more. Each of these technology descriptions is about between 6 and 12 pages. They're not long. The idea is they're quite brief and concise. Well, we can see here there's an evaluation of what are the benefits for the grower. It's a simple, intuitive system, low initial cost, low maintenance cost. But there's also some practical issues that are raised here about its use. Okay, so the idea is somebody who's got an interest in this technology can go to this document and they can actually see what's involved. We're not trying to sell anything, we're trying to be as objective as possible. Okay, thanks, Terry. Let's go back to the presentation, the PowerPoint. It was much more complicated than I thought it would be working with two programs. It's very easy to do on your home computer, but when you're in a different system, it's not so easy. Anyway, for each of the 124 technologies, this is the kind of information that there is. And because we use the hyperlinks, it's very easy to find your way around. And from any particular place in the document, by going to page 3, you can go back to the main table of contents, and then you can start again. Me manda. Okay, there, all right. Okay, right. Now it's easy. There's no more technological issues, okay? We're just going to stay in PowerPoint. Okay, so now just very briefly, how we got this thing done. How did we go from this simple paragraph to this 800-page document? This was described as a BREF-type document. These are kind of a standard European document, often known as best available techniques, which are produced for the engineering industry. This is an example of one that was produced for the production of large volumes of inorganic chemicals, in particular fertilizers, etc. Because when I started this, I thought I'd better see what I've actually let myself in for. And then I opened this one, for example, and I got a surprise. It was very big, and it was very, very detailed. And at this point, I was a little bit intimidated. So anyway, we set to work on trying to do this for fertigation. And the work went through a number of stages. The first stage was that we combined this task, which was task 3.4, with another task 3.2. And we involved everybody in the project. Task 3.2 was technology mapping, which is basically describe the technology. So it was something very similar, so we decided to combine forces. And that work was led very ably by PCS in Belgium, initially by Joachim Adenort, which I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and later by Ilse Delcourt. And that really got the thing going. All 30 NOAA members participated in the preparation of these draft technology descriptions. At this stage, they were known as TRDs, and they were also a deliverable of Task 3.2. And I think they're on the website of 30 NOAA. Then Ilse Delcourt undertook a tremendous amount of work in which she revised the English of every one of the technology descriptions, because with a group so diverse, there are different levels of English, etc. And she worked incredibly hard to bring it up to a good standard. She also did a lot of work adding photos, etc. At this point, we allocated the draft technology descriptions to chapters. We had chapter coordinators for each chapter who prepared the introduction, the summary table, and they revised thoroughly each of these technology descriptions to ensure that the contents were balanced, that there wasn't too much of one part and not another. We also realized we needed to write some new descriptions, and a lot of that work fell on the shoulders of Miguel Jimenez and Juan Magan. We had to revise the technical content, images. Sometimes sections weren't completed, we had to complete that. The formatting had to be revised and the language revised. So this was quite a major task. Then the introduction was prepared, the introductory chapter, executive summary, tables of contents was prepared, and that was a lot of work. That was done by Eleutheria Stravinlou, I think Stravinlou, and she did it very, very effectively so that everything works with hyperlinks. Again, there was a revision of the contents, of the formatting, of the English. This was the work of the editors, the final revision. Then Eleutheria put it all together. And then finally, there was an online release in March of this year. Okay, what I'd like to do is to thank what I call the Fertigation Bible All-Stars, the people that made this happen. There was the 54 members of Fertigation who contributed the technical descriptions. There are the coordinators of the chapters. You can see their names there. And I'd like to thank very much my fellow editors who worked incredibly hard and very, very effectively to make this happen. That's Ilse Delcourt from Belgium, Eleutheria Stravidlo, and the very hard-working Els Berkmaus. My thanks to each and every one of the people that contributed, and I think we showed that individuals working well together can achieve great things. Okay, if you want to get a copy, this is where you can obtain a copy. Basically, if you Google the Fertigation Bible, you'll find it. It's quite easy to find on the web page of the project. And with that, I'd like to finish. Thank you very much.